5 men will be ordained to the priesthood.
5 men.
5 men.
5 men ordained into the priesthood.
5 men will be ordained priests.
That's pretty awesome.
That's kind of mind-blowing.
In Arkansas, where nobody knows where it is. Yeah, it's incredible.
Great blessing for the diocese.
It means God has no limits.
What a better way to know that God really cares for us.
Is certainly a very obvious sign of His presence in our lives in a time when we really need it.
It really is, I think, is the work of the whole diocese.
It really tells the faith the whole people here at the diocese have.
You know, they think, what's in the water? Why you guys got so many wanting to join the seminary?
To have 5 young men being ordained in our diocese, our small little diocese, it speaks a lot to the grace of the Holy Spirit. But most of all, it speaks to the community of faith that we have here in the diocese. And a big part of that has been the encouragement and the work of Monsignor Scott Friend, Bishop Taylor, but also every man and woman who has taken their faith seriously in this diocese and have really wanted to participate in the work not only of vocations, but in the work of building the kingdom of God here in the diocese.
I'm Alex Smith.
My name is Ben Riley.
My name is Brian Kundle.
I am Emmanuel Torres.
My name is Omar Galvin.
I'm a transitional deacon.
A transitional deacon.
I am a deacon for the Diocese of Little Rock.
Deacon from the Diocese of Little Rock.
Seminarian from the Diocese of Little Rock.
I'm going to be ordained.
Ordained a priest of our Lord.
I will be ordained a priest
To the priesthood.
I'll be ordained to the priesthood for the Diocese of Little Rock.
On May 29th.
May 29th.
May 29th.
May 29th.
2021.
I know Emmanuel is counting down the days, and if you ask him, he's like, oh, there's only...
1 month, 27 days, 22 hours, and 14 minutes.
I haven't had to worry about remembering how long it is to our ordination because I have Omar and Emmanuel there to remind me at any particular point.
1 month, 28 days, 20 hours, 43 minutes, and 52 seconds.
Pretty awesome. Excited, a little nervous.
I couldn't be more excited.
Less than 2 months.
I'm just really excited.
I'm excited. I'm very, very excited. I'm very happy waiting for this for a long time. So.
But also just a sense of gratitude.
I'm also very excited to finally be done with seminary and get to work. I'm ready to get to work.
Beyond the countdown, I just can't wait to be with the people. Can't wait to be in the parish.
5 men will be ordained to the priesthood. And thanks be to God, because we could use some help. So here in the diocese, Bishop Anthony Taylor has taken the work of vocations and formation of the priesthood very seriously. One, so that we as a diocese and you can continue to have ministers at the altar providing the sacraments for you. But he has taken it so seriously that he has dedicated one of his best priests, Monsignor Scott Friend, to the work of vocations.
You see someone like Monsignor Scott Friend who comes in and abandons himself to God's providence and says, all right, God, you are the one who provides. Abandoning himself to that, we start seeing the fruits of vocations. And we see that too with creating a culture of vocations in the state.
I don't think that I will be in seminary if we won't wait for him. I believe that he has been a father for us. He provides for us in whatever we need. He taught me that God provides all the time.
Monsignor Friend truly is a father for the seminarians. He cares for us very deeply and he looks after us. And so in the past 8 years of my seminary formation, he's been a rock. And all the seminarians, I think, would say the same thing.
The legacy of Monsignor Scott Friend has got to be faith. He's told me story after story about how a lot of his work in the beginning of his ministry was helping people to believe. At a time when there was a decrease in vocations, people have become more increasingly skeptical of Christianity, but also spirituality in general. His legacy and the work that he has done has helped people to believe. And not just to believe, but to come to know that what the Lord has revealed to us is real. It's tangible. You can reach out, you can touch it, you can talk to the Lord, and when he talks back, you can actually say, the Lord spoke to me. And helping people to believe that, not only in their own personal life, but that the Lord cares for his people. He provides for his people. And that promise that he has made to us through Jesus Christ is very real. I think that is one of the biggest legacies he's going to leave behind. It's just served us so well in providing young men who are joyful, who are happy to serve, and really give their life for the people. And I think it shows, one, not only in the numbers, but in the quality, that we must be doing something right here when it comes to forming young men to be priests for the service of God's people.
So I was born in San Diego, California. My family and I, we moved to Arkansas because of work, and my dad retired from the military. My home parish is here at St. Jude's the Apostle, and this has been my home parish. I grew up here, been raised cradle Catholic all my life. I have 2 older brothers and a little sister. I'm the third, so the best one. My mom, she's from the Philippines. You know, she grew up cradle Catholic. My dad is Tex-Mex. He's from South Texas originally. He's also cradle Catholic. So it's been beautiful for me to being raised in a family that, you know, has always grew up around the faith. My mom, of course, growing up, you know, we would have pizzas some days, but also other days we'd have Filipino food. So having the usual, you know, adobo or pancit or lumpia, you know, it was always different, you know, because my friends would come over. It's like, okay, we were having a night pizza. Like, no, mom made noodles, and my mom made some rice, and okay. My mom definitely shares that sense of our culture because of the food she makes. But being able to be a bridge of culture with not only to my family, but also my friends around me and our neighbors. And I think that's what the Lord calls each of us to do. That each of us have something to share in this world with our culture, our language, and as well as our own family, rich history. And so being able to share that with one another, I think, is what makes this world a better place. You know, God calls us in certain times, but He's always calling us. But it's us when we pick up the phone and finally kind of answer and say hello. And I think for me, it was finally my junior year when I really took initiative to see, yes, you know, the Lord is calling me to love Him, and as well as see the beauty of our faith. You know, the faith starts at home, but also believe that the vocation is also being raised by the community of people. And I was grateful for the opportunities to participate in youth ministry, especially here at the parish, try to lead as much as I can, and especially the help of people my own age. I went to a retreat called Search. It was put on by the Diocese. And I think because of that just initial retreat, you know, that got me kind of thinking, reflecting over my own discipleship, my own call to be a witness and to love the Lord more and more. I mean, we're all called to have passion for our Lord. But I think in a greater sense too, especially to the priesthood, you know, you have to have conviction in what you do. You have to be willing to wake up in the morning and go to bed knowing that, you know, God's calling you to be a shepherd for the greater community. I've been in theology at Assumption Seminary in San Antonio, Texas. People think that you go to seminary, you learned everything. But some of the things you also have to learn along the way. I've done a little bit of visiting the sick and the elderly at the hospitals and the nursing homes, recognizing that those people need someone to talk to and listen to and just having a laugh with. Or visiting children in the orphanage, or you know, being able to be in a community as well as, you know, at a school, being able to kind of what it means to be you know, a chaplain or a minister to people such as the youth at a school, and how your presence means a lot for them. The seminary has been helpful for me to recognize that it's not just about books or writing papers, but it's also about being able to see the Lord present amongst each other and able to share that with our words and with our love for one another.
Well, I was born here in Little Rock in 1994 on St. Patrick's Day, March 17th. So there's always a party on my birthday. From a very young age, my mom and dad taught my brother and I the importance of faith and taught us how to pray. We were a very prayerful family, coming to church every Sunday and praying the rosary together every evening. Prayer life, being instilled in me at an early age, was fundamental in my vocation and in my eventual spiritual development. My dad is a chiropractic physician here in Little Rock, and it was his influence in serving people that I think was a really big inspiration for me. I always kind of knew that I wanted to serve people in that way, but Christ eventually put on my heart that He wanted me to serve in a different way. Instead of saving bodies, He wanted me to save souls. My mom would do anything for her children, and the vigor and the love that she expresses for my brother and I was an inspiration for me in how to love, very selfless, in giving not only what is easy, but giving also what is difficult, accepting the crosses that come our way and that came her way. And I think it was her that really exemplified that for me. My uncle also, Father Greg Hart, was a very large inspiration to me in my vocation and teaching me the joy of priesthood and what it means to give yourself fully to God and to his people. But he was, I think, the first person that asked me, Ben, what do you think about being a priest one day? And I was like, no, Father Greg, I really like this girl in my class, so I'm just, I'm going to hold out on that for a while. I was probably in first or second grade. I didn't really think much more about my vocation and my relationship with the Lord in such a serious way until I was in high school. And I went to grade school here at Christ the King, and then high school at Catholic High School for Boys. I would spend some time in the chapel at Catholic High, and really just started to fall in love with prayer and fall in love with that deep, close relationship with Christ. And I could feel something turning in my heart, something moving in those hours spent in the chapel at Catholic High. It was also around that time when I went to the Come and See retreat that the Diocese puts on every year for young men discerning vocations to the priesthood. And that was a big turning point for me as well. But I think the most kind of impactful part of it for me was meeting all of the seminarians and recognizing that these guys are regular men called to serve the Lord in a very particular way. I think there are a wide variety of reasons why Christ the King has been so blessed with vocations, but I think the primary reason is because the Church has been praying for vocations. We started perpetual adoration here at Christ the King, and around that time is when we started receiving a lot of vocations. And I don't think that's a coincidence. People started praying for priests, and by the grace of God, young men started answering that call. So I started my first 4 years of seminary at the House of Formation here in Little Rock. What was nice about being in Little Rock was we had the opportunity to meet the people that we're going to be serving one day. We got to be involved in the different ministries and the different parishes that we would one day be serving in. So moving from the House of Formation to St. Meinrad was a pretty big leap because I had never been in a large seminary. So it was definitely a learning curve, but I didn't have anything to worry about. St. Meinrad is a wonderful place, and I think the greatest aspect of St. Meinrad is their academic formation. We can't give anything that we don't already have. It would be very difficult to preach about the depths of the Gospels and the mysteries of the Church if we didn't have a strong academic formation. So thankfully, St. Meinrad and their Benedictine kind of roots focus very heavily on teaching young priests or young seminarians to be able to serve their people in a very rounded way, a very full way.
So I was born and raised here in Little Rock. Speaking of God's providence, though I was born and raised in Little Rock, both my parents were born and raised in Wyoming. And so it's like, how did two Wyomingites get to Arkansas of all places? My mom and dad got married, and my mom ended up getting a job here in Little Rock. And so they were young and newly married and started a family here. So me and all my siblings were born and raised here in Little Rock. I have a younger brother and a younger sister. I went to Christ the King Catholic School here in Little Rock and attended Christ the King Parish. And my dad is a convert too, so my mom's cradle Catholic. Monsignor Hebert brought not only my dad into the church, but he also baptized me, baptized my sister, and baptized my brother. So my entire family was like baptized by Monsignor Hebert except my mom. So my parents and all my family have always been pretty active here at Christ the King, being involved in different ministries or different groups. And so just always been involved in the parish, always doing stuff around the parish. For my parents, they provided that foundation of faith because they were the first teachers of faith. And so just first introducing me to prayer, introducing me to God, and like being those first teachers of the faith, I think was really the foundation for me to go forward and know Christ and start to love Christ and then eventually start to want to follow Christ. Some of the biggest things Christ the King did or has had a role in is Christ the King started perpetual adoration. And before perpetual adoration, there hadn't been a single vocation from Christ the King. Father Andrew Hart was the very first Christ the Kinger to be ordained. And so there's been many vocations coming out of Christ the King, and a lot of that is from creating that culture of vocations. People are praying for vocations. People are asking young men, have you thought about being a priest? They're starting to put that idea in young men's heads. After going to Christ the King and finishing up 8th grade here, I went to Catholic high school in Little Rock. And I didn't even really think about a vocation to priesthood until I was a junior in high school. And Father Patrick would tell me, Brian, I think you'd make a good priest. I think you have a vocation in the priesthood. Him just mentioning that was the first time I actually thought about a vocation to the priesthood. And so that's when I started wrestling with that question of what my vocation was in high school. I just started praying every day. There's a chapel in Catholic High, and so started going to the chapel after school and trying to follow God's will. And so in that gradual just process of praying, it eventually led me to talking to Monsignor Friend, and I went to the discernment retreat. We got done, and I was like, all right, not going to be a priest. Thank goodness that's over. We got that out of our system. Okay, I've discerned well. We've no priesthood. We're going to get married. But that call stayed with me. You know, God's going to keep poking at you and kind of keep reminding you. And Monsignor Friends talked about how you have to discern whether your heart was made in such a way as to love one other person for your entire life in the vocation of marriage, or did God make your heart in such a way as to love all people? I know even applying to colleges, like nothing felt right. Like I wasn't really excited to go anywhere. Like I didn't have that passion, but those were ways God was telling me that my heart was made in a way to love more, in a way to love all people.
I was born in Mexico, Guadalajara, December 1986. We lived in Mexico until I was 12. Then we moved here to North Little Rock. My family is very Catholic, always going to Mass on Sundays at least, and my parents were very active in church when we were in Mexico. When we moved here, all that things changed. First thing, it was because of the language. We didn't know a parish that offered Spanish Masses, so we stopped going for like 6-7 years. It was my teenager, so I just went away from church for a while. But the faith in my house was always present. My parents, they lived their faith. Even today, when I go back to visit them, I see them praying every night. They pray together a rosary, and then they go to separate rooms and they pray each their own prayers. And it's very nice to see that. It's beautiful to see that. I think that's how they water my seed of my faith and my vocation as well. One of the difficulties of the transition was that the language, the culture was very different. I entered 8th grade. My first day I was shaking. I never shake, as far as I know, I never shaken in my life before that. I always said that 8th grade was the worst year of my life. I was very shy. I was afraid of I would say something wrong or they would not understand. It was hard. I remember one time when the tornado alarms got off, and it was just practice, and I didn't know that. Then we went to the floor and put our hands like this. I almost started crying because I was very nervous, but it was just a trial. Being an immigrant and trying to fit in the community in the United States, in the American community, was hard, and I can relate to all the immigrants that have been coming here. It might be hard for both parts, like to find a common ground, but the common ground that we can find is our faith. We're coming from other places, culture is different, language is different, so when we come here we see a Catholic church, I feel more at home. The love of the people make me feel that I belong here. Yeah, that's when I felt that this is home. I started going to St. Edward's when I was 20 years old, and I found some friends in high school, and they started going to the youth group here in St. Edward's. And that's when I started knowing God personally, more like having more a spiritual connection with Him. I feel that the Hispanic ministry was a bridge for me to come to get into the whole community of the church. My life went to 180-degree change. Since then, I was thinking about the priesthood. Like, I always said that I started with more curiosity. I was just curious and like, oh, that sounds awesome, like change people's lives and things like that. But then I met with Monsignor Scott Friend. He's one of the persons that God put me in my life. He's a great spiritual leader. He taught me how to listen to God, and he invited me to the House of Formation. thinking about it, I guess that's how I discern that this is my vocation, that this is really my call. I enjoy this. I really enjoy it. Being part of a parish and being the priest, and I'm not a priest yet, but this filled my heart, and you know what you're doing is right when you are in all constant challenges, but you feel in peace. So, and I feel constant challenges in the ministry, in the school, in seminary, in my spiritual life, but I feel good. I feel in peace. I feel joyful doing it. For me, my parents are the best parents. They love us very much, and I've seen in their sacrifice. And I asked them one time if they are happy being here in the United States, and my mom said, like, I don't regret it because I see you guys happy. I always feel that I don't have to repay them. I don't know now that can I be a priest? I'm like, okay, it worth it. It really worth it.
I was born November 8th, 1992. I am the fifth of six. I was born in a very small town in Mexico, El Aguacate, which translates to avocado. Everyone in this small town is Catholic, and everything is revolved around our Catholic faith. Back in March of 2000, the whole family immigrated to the United States. I was 7. That was tough. No culture, no language. Not being able to speak, not being able to just make friends. It was tough. I remember my first word in English. My first word in English that no one laughed at. They actually understood what I was trying to say was house. And I still remember because, it's for me at that time, it was a great accomplishment. Once I moved to the United States, we arrived here in Fort Smith, and everything was in Spanish. Spanish Mass. We went to Spanish El Mercado, just for groceries. Everything was in Spanish for me, except school. Yeah, my family was just very devout Catholics. Always was doing something in the church. Coming here to the United States was a big change, not only culturally, but also in the faith. A lot of the things that they did in Mexico, they didn't do here. Because in Mexico, living your faith is just natural. It's not an option. And coming to United States, you find out very soon that living out your faith is something that you have to choose, something that you have to do very intentional. One of the things that I started to notice is that my mom had this practice of praying the rosary, and she kind of got everyone and my siblings kind of into it as well. One time, my dad invited me to this perpetual adoration chapel. He invited me, and on our way there, he told me, Omar, when your mom and I got married, your mom promised that she would pray the rosary every night for you guys. And then I realized that, we were not only praying the rosary with her, but for our siblings, and my, kind of way my mom was keeping her promise. And my dad kind of promised that he was going to visit the Blessed Sacrament, at least for 15 minutes. And he was inviting me into his promise. And he said this beautifully to me one day. He said, my vocation as a father ends when you find your own vocation. It's really hard to kind of pinpoint when God really called me to the priesthood. Even when I was about 14, 15, I wanted to be a middle school teacher. I told God, I want to be this kind of teacher, math teacher in specific, because everyone hates math. Because I wanted to be an influence for those teenagers. And that was the way that I want to bring God to them. Just simple high five, sometimes does a lot. A simple smile, just being able to be attentive to the students. Hey, how are you doing? What's going on? And I told him, this is what I want to do. But you already know what I want to do. and I definitely want to hear. I want to know what you want for me. And it's incredible because I never realized that, even after I entered seminary, I didn't know that I was going to be this close and that I would be able to be a teacher in a different way. And you want something, or you want to do something, and God has something for you even bigger.
Yeah, I mean, Barton Arena, not the place you think you'll have an ordination. It's the place you think you'll have monster truck rally, but we're going to sanctify it today with this incredible ordination.
Well, it's pretty exciting. Came in here, I was expecting like a gun show or rodeo or something, but the space has been transformed to really a sacred space. So it's really exciting. We're just so happy for the guys. So many smiles on everybody's faces today. It's going to be a good one.
33 minutes, 40 something seconds. Oh my gosh. Seeing a lot of people just continue coming, and it's like, I just hope it gets filled, and it makes me more and more nervous.
The people who have worked so hard to get us here, I'm so thankful to everybody who can come together as a church and celebrate with us. I'm overjoyed. It's the joy that comes from Christ, and it's really beyond words. I'm at peace about it, absolutely, yeah. It's been a long time coming. I've been studying and preparing for this for 8 years, so I'm very much at peace.
Very nervous and very happy. I saw a lot of people that I know, and they've been all supporting me all this year, so I'm very, very excited. Nervous? I started a year ago with the counting down, but now it's less than an hour now, so it's getting closer.
It's definitely for real now. We're finally here. I'm finally getting ordained as priest. So it's this game day ready kind of feeling. So it's a beautiful moment to be here with family and friends, with all the priests I will call my brothers, as well as my brothers' classmates who will become priests together. It's been a journey for all of us, and I'm just grateful to be here for the ride, but also be here in the front seat as the Lord and the bishop and all my priests gives me the sign of peace, and my family and my friends cheering me on.
I think a lot of excitement. Like, I'm excited, and I know all the people are excited, and everybody's here, and we got family here, we got friends, we got all our loved ones who've been with us through our entire journey, and I'm excited. I'm ready to go. Let's go. Let's get ordained. If the bishop could do it right now, I'll just kneel on the floor right here and let's do it. At this point, I'm being ordained with my brothers. We've spent all this time together, we've grown together, we've shared meals together, we've laughed together, we've cried together, we've gone through this whole formation process together, and it's really kind of, I think, fitting that we come to the end of it and are all getting ordained together.
We come from different parts of Arkansas, different journeys, as well as cultural backgrounds. How amazing is that the Lord speaks to all of us and where we come from. It shares the sense of that we're here to walk with everyone.
We're kind of all on the same team, and we're all supporting each other, and we're all really united with a singular goal of leading people closer to Christ and the salvation of souls.
We're all called to a specific vocation. We are unique. We always have something to offer. Sometimes we don't see it, but other people can see it. I would just want to be a good priest, and I hope that people will see that.
God is a providential God. And, even in the midst of COVID, even in the midst of any other situation, God will always provide. Every Sunday, we come to God's house, and God provides food for us. And what better food that He provides that is body and blood of His Son. And the only way that it could happen is through a priest.
Of all the years to have a big class being ordained together, of 5 guys all being ordained together, He chose this time of pandemic to have us be ordained, and to have 5 of us, 5 new priests being able to work in His vineyard.
How much more that the Father is saying to us that He loves us by presenting 5 guys and saying, look, I love you, and I'm offering you these 5 guys to show you that I care for you. That's amazing. That's amazing.